Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the DIYguy.net. Alright, today we're going to be showing you how to install a Bronson fire pit. This is going to be the round one. This is a nice kit. It comes with everything you need to put a gas fireplace outdoors or on your patio. It has the control right here to ignite it in the gas flow, shut it on and off. It has two of these grates here in the bottom corner to let air flow. You put them on opposing sides. Comes with all the bricks or pavers. The only thing you see here that you don't get, which is optional, is this top cap. You can get it in tan or charcoal. Comes with your lava rock, your burner, and your burner plate, and a flex line from the control valve up to the burner plate. So the only thing you're going to need to do is either order this top cap if you want it, and a flex line from your gas supply to the actual burner if you're going natural gas. If you're sticking with propane, it does come with a propane regulator that'll go onto a tank and a pretty lengthy hose. Alright, so we're ready to start. We're going to go ahead and sweep this area, get it nice and clean, as we are going to be using the PL landscape adhesive and gluing the block to the patio and the blocks from there on up together. So we want to make sure it's clean. We can go ahead and get a good adhesion to the patio. Now we're not going to glue it where these little channels are from the stamped part of the concrete. We're going to kind of use those as little channels to catch the water and bring it to the rock, get it to the pipe and get it out of there. So we're not going to adhere it to there. But we're going to lay our first ring out completely first, take some measurements, make sure we're happy with the walking distance around the outside of the patio there and here. As most of the patio is behind us, we want to make sure you can set a chair there, walk in front of it, nobody worry about falling off the edge of the patio. Once we're happy where our placement is for the ring, for the bottom layer of block, we'll go ahead and flip them over, glue them, put them back, glue them, put them back, and just kind of work our way around until we get that first one layer down and adhere to the patio, and then we'll go ahead and start the second layer. Alright, so now that we got the first course laid down, we're pretty happy. It does measure the same around the inside. We measured it a bunch of times just to double check. Our circle looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and glue this first one down. Alright, so we let the PL glue set up. We're ready to start the second course of layer here. The stone is going to go ahead and cover the seam like a brick wall, so it's going to sit on this one, and cover the seam and be staggered all the way around. And the next course will be the same as well. Now in this course, the second course, we need to have our control valve, our on and off, and our igniter in the front or the most accessible place in the fireplace, which is going to be this stone for us right here, facing the rest of the patio. We also need to include our two vent grates as well, across from each other in the back, which we're going to do. So we're going to gain 3 extra stones on this course for a total of 7 extra stones that we could discard if we're going to go the full 4 heights or tiers here like we are, as it takes 20 stones per layer. So 20 times 4 is 80. They give you 84 stones. Like I said, you're also going to grab these 3 extra off here, so you're going to have 7 extra stones. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and move my control panel up into the 3rd layer, since I am doing all 4 layers plus the cap. So I'm going to go ahead and move that out of the way and go ahead and put a regular block in there, and then we'll start gluing them down. So for the grates, I'm going to go ahead and glue it to the side of the block as well. We're going to run a bead up on the inside just to hold them there as well. That way if you look in the grate, you don't see any of the glue or adhesive. Alright, so now we got the second layer done. We got our grates in. We got everything glued or adhered to the first layer. We're going to go ahead and let this set up a bit, and then we'll come back in and do the third layer. Alright, so now that we got the third tier placed, pretty happy with it, we're going to go ahead and glue that down or adhere it to the second layer. Alright, so I went ahead and finished gluing the third course. You'll notice I did put some other pavers or blocks up on top. That was just because the grates are just a little bit thinner than the block, so it seems to tip in. So just adding that block there until the PL glue can adhere it to the lower one. That way it doesn't kind of droop in over the vents. And then we'll let that set up a little bit and we'll come back and do our fourth course. Alright, so while that PL glue is setting up a little bit, let's talk about the burner plate assembly. If you were only going to go a 3-layer fireplace, you'd want to place your burner assembly 1 layer below your final run, which would be here between the second and third course. If you were just doing a 4-layer fireplace, you'd want to place it right now between the third layer and the fourth layer. The idea is you want 1 more layer above the burner plate to hold in your glass beads or lava rock or whatever fire media you're going to use. For us, we're using the optional cap, so we're going to run all 4 courses of block out. Then we'll go ahead and connect our burner plate assembly and then glue on our cap, and that'll hold in our glass beads, lava rock, or fire media. Alright, so now that the PL glue is set up a bit, we're going to go ahead and set our 4th course and get that glued down. So we're going to go ahead and let this set up overnight, that PL glue harden and strengthen. That way when we're climbing in and out of it to try to set the burner plate, we're not shuffling these stones or pavers out of position. Alright, so it got sunny. It dried out the top of the block where we're going to be setting the burner and burner plate and also gluing on the capstone. So we're going to go ahead and finish off the main supply coming in here. This is a 1-inch pipe. It's got a 1-inch ball valve. We're going to put a reducer from 1 inch down to 1/2 inch, an elbow, a little piece of pipe, and get the male 1/2 inch thread facing to where our control valve is going to be, as that's where the flex line is going to connect from here to the control valve. So we'll go ahead and get that taped up, use some gasola, get it all in there nice and tight, and then we can proceed with installing the burner plate and burner plate assembly. So like I said, I want the elbow pointing to our control valve, as that's where I'm going to connect the flex line on here once we have our adapter from 1/2 inch pipe thread to the 1/2 inch flare to go to our 1/2 inch flex line to our control valve. Alright, so we have our adapter on for a flex line. We'll go ahead and grab the flex line. When purchasing a flex line, make sure you get a whistle or noise-free flex line. What that is, you can see the difference here. It's stretched out right here, then it's coiled real tight, stretched out, coiled real tight, and so on all the way down the flex line. What that does is just help stop that noise or that high-pitched whistle you'll get. Sometimes you can hear it in your gas grill, so that helps eliminate it by using a noise-free or whistle-free flex line. Alright, so we got the burner plate assembly out here, and as you can see, it is currently set up for propane. This is how it comes. So we have our regulator here that would go on a 20-pound grill tank or so. Our coil of hose on into our on and off valve, and then this goes out to the burner plate. So we need to convert this one to natural gas. So we need a 10mm wrench to remove this crossover tube here, and down in here is an orifice that we need to actually remove and discard on this size fireplace. The smaller ones, you may need a different orifice to put in there for the natural gas, but in this particular one and the larger style burner plates, you actually just discard that. We have this fitting right here that is for natural gas. That'll go up here in the burner. We'll slide that over once we get that far. But we're going to go ahead and remove the propane accessories here, getting rid of this adapter here from 1/2 inch down to the 3/8 for our grill stuff. We'll discard that. We'll get that 10mm wrench, remove this crossover tube completely, get a flathead screwdriver in down there, remove that orifice, re-put the pipe on there, and then we'll go ahead and do the conversion on the actual burner plate itself up top. So a 22mm, we'll go ahead and get this adapter off. So we can go ahead and discard that as we are not using propane. 10mm wrench here. Get rid of both of these and remove this crossover tube completely. Not sure if you can see it in there, but there's an orifice in there, so a flathead screwdriver. A little bit of pressure down, should turn out pretty easily. There's what it looks like. Like I said, on some kits with the smaller burners, you will put an actual orifice in there that is made for natural gas. But on this bigger one, we don't need it, so we're just going to go ahead and reconnect our crossover tube here and tighten it down. $10mm, we'll snug it down nice and tight. We'll go ahead once we get the gas on here and go ahead and check all of this and our connection over there to the main to make sure we have no leaks. Alright, so now that we got the control part of the valve done, we'll go ahead and slide the burner over and do the conversion on that. Alright, so we got the burner plate pulled over here, hopefully you can see. So we're going to go ahead and grab a 22mm, remove this flex line, and right below that is the orifice we need to change. This is the natural gas one, so you can see the hole that one is currently at. We'll show you the propane once we pull it out. But once we unscrew that flex line, we're going to unscrew that orifice and swap that out. We'll grab a Phillips screwdriver and we're going to close this shutter door that lets air into the burner. They require it to be closed on natural gas. Depending on your sea level, you may need to open just a little bit. So you may want to read the instructions on that and That is the hole for the propane. I'll go ahead and show you the natural gas. The natural gas hole is bigger. So we'll go ahead and set that aside with our propane orifice for the other one. We'll probably throw that in the base of the fireplace with the extra brick so we know where it is in case it needs to be converted or something else happens down the line. We'll go ahead and thread this into the burner plate assembly. Snug it up just ever so slightly. We'll grab that Phillips screwdriver and shut that air door. Once we have it adjusted shut, we'll go ahead and tighten down that Phillips screw. Alright, so now that we got the conversion done, you will see this bag here which houses the wire for your igniter. This plugs onto the back of this. You can use which connection you would like, it doesn't really matter. Going over this, you unscrew the push part of the knob here. You'll see that is where your battery drops in. You will turn this a little bit more and remove this nut, and that is what will pinch it between the faceplate. You'll tighten that up. Go ahead and drop your battery in there, and then go ahead and put the push button part back on and seal it up. Now the other thing in here is your thermal coupling. We'll go ahead and show you the end of that real quick. It's this little brass threaded end here, which is going to go right in here on your control valve. So here's the control part of the valve. The back side right here is threaded. That is where the thermal coupling needs to be. You need to make sure it is stretched out, not touching each other or anything else, and just kind of coiling down and being attached to the control valve. Now that we got the conversion done, we'll go ahead and set the burner plate assembly on the fireplace and then get the burner pan ready to be connected. I'm going to hopefully quickly set the burner support plate and the burner assembly. The burner support plate has a notch in it. I'll point to it when we set it down. That needs to point towards your control panel, as when we put the burner assembly in, the self sparker needs to go into that notch, and that's where the wires are cut out to go down through it. So you need to assemble that correctly. Then we go ahead and assemble our gas line to our control panel. We'll go ahead and screw the control panel in, and then we'll go ahead and put the top cap on. Alright, so this right here needs to end up in that cutout. This is the wiring for the spark arrestor and our thermal coupling. So we'll go ahead and set that in there. Alright, so we got our wires for our igniter. It doesn't matter which one we hook this to on the back of the igniter. They could be swapped, it doesn't matter. We got a thermal coupling, we got our gas supply going to our gas valve. This one will go to our burner, so we'll go ahead and slide that in there. Go ahead and start our thermal coupling here. We'll go grab our igniter and we'll plug that in as well. We'll grab our faceplate, install the igniter in there. We'll get a Phillips screw driver by hand, and we'll go ahead and put these screws in to hold it to our faceplate. Okay, we'll put our gas feed in to the control valve. We'll go ahead and tighten that up all the way. We'll go ahead and tighten our thermal coupling up, and that should wrap up the control valve, other than putting on our knob and using those 4 screws to mount it into the mounting bracket. Alright, so the flex line was a 22, the thermal coupling was a 10 millimeter. We'll go ahead and grab our knob, we'll put that on, facing towards the off. We'll go ahead and connect the other end of the flex line leaving the control panel here onto our burner. We'll go ahead and turn the gas on. We'll go ahead and spray and check for some leaks. Got the gas on, we'll go ahead and spray everything for some leaks. Alright, looks like we have no leaks, so we can go ahead and set the control panel in, rearrange and make sure our thermocoupling's is not touching anything, and then screw down our burner plate assembly. You will have 4 holes that line up to screw the burner plate to the burner assembly. I'm going to put some anti-seize on them before I put those in case we need to service this or do anything else. We can get that apart. This I'm probably going to tack down in a couple of spots and glue it, and then we'll go ahead and glue the cap on. Alright, so it's kind of getting dark. Hopefully you guys can still see. We got the burner mounted to our burner support plate. We got this little piece of cardboard in here, which is the wind guard. You don't want to remove that until after you get all your fire media in. You don't want any of that fire media getting inside of there. So we're going to make sure we take that cardboard out before we do start it, and make sure no fire media gets down in there. So we're just going to check and make sure this burner plate didn't move inside the circle. We'll center it. We'll put a bunch of PL glue dabs all the way around just to hold the support in place. We'll go ahead and set the capstones, make sure we're happy with them. Then we'll go ahead and glue those to the stones themselves. And then after that, we'll go ahead and put the media in, and then we'll go ahead and remove this piece of cardboard and give it a test run. Alright, so now that we're happy with them, we're going to go ahead and glue those down. We can add our fire media. We got the cap set where we want it. We're going to go ahead and pour our fire media in, make sure we're covering everything, then we can go ahead and test it. Pull our cardboard out. Don't forget to click the link in the description, which will take you to our website for a full write-up. You can also click that subscribe button you placed in the middle for you. On the right, you'll find a recommended video just for you, and on the left side, you'll see our recent upload. Thanks for watching another episode of the DIYguy.net.